Hi, welcome back. I'm John Henry. Today we're going to talk about putting the garden to bed. It's fall, it's November, and things have stopped growing much in the garden. Now, one of the things I wanted to show you before I start the other things is this is a tomato root. This is where the little pot was before we planted it, and then we planted it like that. We planted it laying down, and all these roots grew all along there and fed the plant and made some great tomatoes. Now, when you start thinking about putting the garden to bed, you have to think about the plan for next year. Very important. Tomatoes and green beans or beans of any kind really have to be rotated. You have to rotate them on a 4-year rotation. They can't grow in the same soil 2 years in a row because there's all kinds of soil-borne diseases and problems that would occur if you did that. So if you're planning where your tomatoes are going to go next year, and this is where they're going to go. This is, you may have seen my canopy that I had over my tomatoes this year. Now next year they're going to go in this bed. And before the winter, I like to take crushed eggshells, because eggshells are about 85% pure calcium. Maybe even more if they're organic eggs and free range and all that. They could be 90 to 95% calcium. And calcium is the thing you need with your tomatoes to avoid any kind of blossom end rot. It really prevents it. So in the fall, you can put the crushed eggshells like this in, and they'll work down, and the worms will work on them, and they'll be in great shape in the spring. If I'm putting them in the planting holes, I'll take the eggshells that look like that and run them through a blender, run them through a blender so that they turn into powder, and then I put the powder in the actual planting hole. But right now, this is where the plants are going to go next year, like that. So I just mix that in because that's going to be in the planting hole next year. And then I'll put some over in here, and just about that same spacing all the way around the bed. And I'll put more and more of we save our eggshells all the time and dry them and get them ready to do that. Now, the other thing, if you're getting your garden ready for winter, if you like garlic, garlic has to be planted in the fall. And so we'll come over here to this other bed where this is where the beans and the squash were this year, and next year it's going to be garlic. Now, I may put some other things down at the far end, but I'm going to start on this end with garlic. Now, here's a nice big head of red Russian garlic. It's got lots of cloves in it. And the thing about garlic is the bigger the clove, the bigger the head is going to be when you harvest. So this is a pretty big head. So I'm looking forward to this. Now, you take this part here is where the roots are going to get made, and this part is where the shoot comes out. And so the little thing that comes off when you break it off from the head. Now, you take this and you just stick it in 2 or 3 inches deep, and then every couple of inches, or 4 inches rather, about 4 inches apart, you put in the next one, and then we'll put the next one right there, and right on down the line. And then when these come up, I mean, actually when you're really getting ready to put the garden to bed, now this is going to get leaves that have been run through like the lawnmower or something, and this gets leaves piled up like this to mulch it through the winter to keep it from freeze thaw, and push them out of there. So you want to keep them down there. And then in the spring, they're going to be the first thing you're going to see green in the garden. They'll come up before you see anything else going on. And so your plan has to be that you want to keep an eye on things where you want to go to a new bed all the time for the tomatoes and the beans, shifting around 4 to 5 years on a rotation. Now, in order to facilitate that, I'm building a new bed. This is where the new bed is. It's where I used to have some blueberries. I moved the blueberries out to the field because I got tired of killing birds that got caught in the bird netting. So I'm now building another garden grow bed that probably the first year is going to have the beans and squash And oh, a nice thing about when you're harvesting your green beans or any kind of beans, your pole beans or anything, clip the roots off, clip it off at the soil line, leave those roots in the soil over the winter because they're fixing nitrogen. They fix nitrogen down into the soil and they'll make the soil better if you leave those roots in the soil of beans. So the other thing about putting the garden to bed is everything has to be mulched. You want to mulch all the beds. I mulch all my beds at 2 or 3 inches thick at least with chopped leaves and grass clippings, chopped leaves and grass clippings mixed, and because that helps to keep it from thawing out in the winter. I mean, thawing out on the warm days in the spring, and then freezing again at night, and thawing out, freezing again, and so it keeps it all frozen until it's actually time to let it go and do its thing. So that's about it. And have fun planning your garden for next year. Think about what you want to eat. Good food. All right. Happy gardening. Next time.